Vasa. Okay, so yesterday we started with an understanding of festivals, and we even placed Elul as time before creation. Now we have to begin by talking about Rosh Hashanah and really understanding the primary effort that's really called for us, the struggle of really making the most of your Rosh Hashanah and accessing the spiritual forces that are available. When was the world created? What day of the year? Does anyone know?
Wasn't it created on the Shabbos?
What?
It was...
The 25th of Elul. There is nothing celebrated on the 25th of Elul. To the point that people have to think, when you ask them when was the world created, they'll think, well, one second. So Adam's on the 6th day of creation, so I guess I gotta work backwards, and they take out their fingers and they start counting. Why do we not commemorate creation? We only commemorate the creation of man. So this takes us back to the purpose of creation. Why did Hashem create? So what did we say? Ritzono Yisbarach Lehetiv. The divine desire to give, to bestow. So whom does Hashem give to? So he gives to everybody and everything. He created and sustains all the animals, the birds, the fish, everything. Every creature, big and small. So Lutzato writes at the beginning of Derech Hashem that by Hashem's standards, it's an insult to talk of that as giving. You know, it's like some multimillionaire who gives you a dime. That's not giving. What is giving by Hashem's standards? What is it that Hashem can give that even by His own standards we can call giving? And the answer is Himself. A relationship with Him. A way of connecting to Him. Okay. All right, so that's big.
Well, what's that even mean?
What does it mean? We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But he goes further. He says, but even that's not enough. And he quotes the Zohar. The Zohar who says that if Hashem would give us whatever it is that He gives us, so long as He is the one that supplies and we are recipients, then what's He giving us? In the words of the Zohar, Na'ama Dikisufa, the bread of shame. So we're being sustained by Him, showered with gifts from Him. So what are we? Recipients. That's shameful. We know in the laws of tzedakah, there are many different levels. The Rambam lists the levels of tzedakah. You know what the highest level of tzedakah is? You don't give anything. You lend someone money so that he can set up his business. Because what you're giving him is independence. That is the greatest gift. You choose to fully support somebody. That's humiliating for him. It's humiliating, it's debilitating. He just becomes this passive recipient. So even if Hashem gives a relationship with him, and we'll say that's the greatest thing possible. If it's a freebie, he's turning us into recipients. Again, that's the bread of shame. So what's real giving? Giving us is that he gives us an opportunity to connect to him by way of earning it. He gives us the ability to connect to him through our toil. That's giving even by Hashem's standards. Now, who are these people? Who are those who have the ability to connect to him by way of earning it? This is the human being. This is the human race. Because we have free will. We can choose. We can choose. We have the ability to choose to connect to him or to distance ourselves from him. The human being is the only creature that has free will. All other creatures are programmed. Come, this room. Sorry, I didn't wait. All other creatures, they've got their nature, they've got their instincts, and that's how they behave. You can condition them. That's all instinctive. Who is it that can choose to go beyond his own instinct? Only the human being. So if giving to the Creator is defined as giving the ability to earn oneself a relationship with him, then the human race is the sole recipient of Hashem's good. True, everything else exists because Hashem makes it exist. True, every blade of grass, all the vegetation, everything that lives, big and small. But that's not what Hashem calls giving. It's only the human being. Therefore, the day that we would say Hashem created what he had in mind was Rosh Hashanah, the day he created man. Everything until then was just creating his environment. Man was the purpose. And what did he give him? He gave him life. Human life, which is the ability to choose. He gave him the ability to choose. He gave him the ability to earn. So we got to stop here for a second. What is the life that Hashem gives out on Rosh Hashanah? What are those spiritual forces, the powers of the day, where life is given anew? What kind of life are we talking about?
Spiritual life, obviously.
We're talking about the life which is the ability to choose whatever support we need for making those tough decisions and choosing right. Meaningful life. If somebody approaches Rosh Hashanah in very simplistic terms, Hashem gives life, oh, Hashem, I don't want to die this year. Who wants to die? That's not what Rosh Hashanah is all about. That's not what Rosh Hashanah is all about. Spend the day praying that you don't end up in the hospital. You missed it. For that, you could have been a cow. A cow or giraffe, hippopotamus. That's not human life. Just to be able to breathe. We like to do that too. I mean, you can't have a meaningful life if you don't have the basic life. But what makes the day special is this is the day that human life is given. One of my favorites with regard to this is a Seforno, one of the commentaries on Chumash. Usually says a couple of words. You got to figure out what he's talking about. It is one of the most profound commentaries on the Chumash. But everything's in shorthand. So he's got this piece in Parshas Vayigash, where Yosef in Egypt presents his father, Yaakov Avinu, to Paro. Paro finds himself looking at the oldest human being he has ever seen. Yaakov Avinu was the oldest human being that Paro had ever seen. So he asks him, how old are you? And then you read the psukim, and instead of giving him a straight answer, Yaakov Avinu gives him a whole sermon. Yeah, that's what Jews do. And what does he say? Paro asks him, Kama yemei shnei chayecha? How many years have you been alive? And he says, Yemei shnei megurai, the days I have dwelled, Shloshim u'ma'as shana, are 130 years. Ma'at v'ro'im, few and difficult. Yemei shnei chayai are the years that I actually lived. V'lo higiu liyemei shnei chayei avosai b'mei megureihem, they did not reach the number of years that my ancestors lived when they dwelled. What did he say? So Svarno points out, Paro asks Yaakov Avinu, Kama yemei shnei chayecha, how many years have you been around? No. How many years have you lived? Kama yemei shnei chayecha. Lichyot in Hebrew is to live. And Yaakov Avinu tells him, you're making a mistake. All those wrinkles don't tell you how long I've lived. They only tell you how long I've been around. I've been around for 130 years. I have not lived for 130 years. Now, how does Yaakov Avinu say that? You got to remember, it's not just that Yaakov Avinu had problems. It's not just that he had to flee his brother Esav, his twin brother. They argued in the womb, and he had to run away from him. It's not just he spent years in the house of Lavan, who tried cheating him of everything. It's not just that his beloved son Yosef disappeared, and he didn't see him for decades. But during those years that Yosef wasn't there, it says that Hashem kept away from Yaakov Avinu. He lost his prophecy. Because if he would have gotten his prophecy, he would have known that the brothers sold Yosef. Hashem boycotted him for all of those years, which meant that his ability to grow further was curtailed. He could only go so far and not any further. So he says, I've been around for a long time, but I haven't lived all that much. The lesson he's teaching Paro is understand there's a difference between being around and living. That's really a definition we've got to get clear for Rosh Hashanah. If this is the day that life is given, we got to define what life is. Life doesn't just mean being around. Life doesn't just mean that you breathe. Life means you're productive. Life means that you're growing. Life means that you're sharing. You shine like a light bulb. Then you're alive. The life that is available for the asking on Rosh Hashanah is a life of growing, a life of working hard and becoming great, and what we will define as coming close to Hashem. So this takes a certain decision on our part. And that's buying into the work ethic. The Mesilas Yesharim writes that the most basic trait of all finite existence is what he calls atzlus, laziness. In physics, we call it entropy, which is that everything sinks to its most comfortable level.
That's thermodynamics.
What's that?
That's not entropy, that's thermodynamics. That's the rule of thermodynamics that you're describing, not entropy.
It includes entropy, the fact that things decompose. It's all the same trait. Yeah, true. When atoms join, the molecular configurations they form are based on everything dropping to its most comfortable state. It is the most basic trait of all finite existence. This is one of the most basic instincts because physically we're made of finite matter. Work is something the body doesn't appreciate. Only the soul. Only the soul. If on Rosh Hashanah we're asking for life, and that means human life, and that means earning, that means working hard, our preparation for Rosh Hashanah is first and foremost buying into the work ethic. Let's ask ourselves a straightforward question. What would you prefer? Hard work or the bread of shame? If God asked you before creating the world, should he give everyone the bread of shame or should he make them work for it? Well, what would you have chosen? And you got to be honest. As far as our instincts go, let's be honest. Forget the honor, just give me the bread. Give me everything great and not make me work for it. It's the soul that appreciates, that buys into what Hashem had in mind, which is, there's nothing like being responsible for whom you are. You
Hashem create a system where He gives us the bread without making us feel shameful?
Okay, that's a great question. Hashem can do anything, huh? So I got a surprise answer for you. He can't do everything, and it's not because he's limited. Reality is determined by what Hashem is. Hashem does not exist through anybody else. He is totally self-sufficient. No one made him. He is and is and is and is because he is. Which means that Hashem, who is the reality, exists in his own right. Consequently, when we talk about connecting to Hashem, when we talk about that greatness that Hashem gives, it's got to be like Hashem. Otherwise, here we are again, it's cheap. Hashem isn't giving. He's giving the greatest. The greatest is connecting to him by being like him and becoming part of him, which we'll talk about at length. And Hashem is the antithesis of bread of shame, which means existence is the antithesis of the bread of shame. So non-existence cannot become existence. This is a struggle. This is a struggle. You really got to spend the time working on it. In order to really access that life that is given on Rosh Hashanah, you got to buy into it. If that's not the life you want, if when you say Zochreinu l'chaim, remember us to life, you're thinking existence, then you're thinking animal life. You're not thinking human life. You got the wrong day. There is no day that celebrates it, actually. So preparation for Rosh Hashanah. And then we spoke yesterday about what Elul is, which is developing that rotzon, that desire to connect to Hashem's desire to give. It means to buy into the work ethic. Work meaning taking responsibility for your character. Not just remaining the way you are and telling everyone around you, you got to accept me for who I am. Taking responsibility for your anger management, for being productive and not lazy, for being honest, for your own integrity, for your sensitivity to others.
So you're saying the life that we want is the life of productivity, meaningfulness, where we're not lazy, where we're not giving into meaninglessness.
Correct. What we want is lots of opportunities. What we want is for Hashem to put us in the right places and meet the right people and give us the challenges that'll bring out the best in us.
So we're not davening for parnasa. A lot of people say daven for children, daven for parnasa. Really, what you're saying is we're not supposed to be doing that. We're supposed to be more focused on the idea of living with Hashem. Meaning,
to an intelligent human being, davening for children means, I understand this is one of the greatest opportunities for giving. There's nothing like giving life. Give me the opportunity to raise children wisely, of course. What's parnasa? Give me the opportunity to be able to grow and not spend my day worrying about finances. We understand that these are opportunities. They are not the goal. The goal is growth. The goal is sharing. The goal is becoming great. Working hard and becoming great. That's the life we ask for on Rosh Hashanah. So I would say, the real test on Rosh Hashanah, is when you daven, when you ask for life. What do you mean? Does your definition of life coincide with the Creator's? This is what he's giving out. Do you want it? Or you're telling him, keep it for yourself, I'm not interested. So that's what these days have to be spent doing. Really? Tuning into your own experiences. Let's face it, as much as we enjoy being lazy and sleeping in, how does that compare to when you worked hard for something? You know, I tell parents, your kid comes home and doesn't want to do his homework. It's the first thing you tell them is, either did I. I know exactly how you feel. You know, let's sit down and start doing it. Open the books. You know, start off as a partnership and then let him do it. And when he's done, you ask him, be honest. Don't you feel great? Don't you feel great that you were able to do something you didn't feel like doing? Don't you feel great that you've accomplished? You know, unless your kid is one of those who, you know, won't give you the satisfaction of saying yes. But of course, that's the answer. One of the most powerful tools you give your kid is the secret of how good it is to have self-control. It's a gift. It's a gift. Not to discipline your kid and scream at them and beat them or whatever people ever did to get them to listen. The issue is not listening. The issue is to give your kid the gift of appreciating what it's like to control oneself, do what you didn't think you should, do what you didn't think you could, and not do what you just felt you couldn't stop yourself from doing. Ezehu Gibor, who is the strong man, the rabbis teach us. HaKovesh is Yitzchak, the one who conquers his desire. It feels so good, you feel so big. There's nothing like hard work. So although instinctively we'd rather sleep in, we'd rather party, we'd rather kill time, you don't really feel good when it's over. You really invested your efforts, you worked hard, you feel great. And that comes from your soul, that's from the neshama. So, I suggest you spend some time these days really working through the issue. What do you prefer, a freebie or working hard? When you come to Rosh Hashanah, what are you going to ask for? Are you ready to celebrate Rosh Hashanah as the day Hashem gives human life? Good. You got your work cut out for you? Spend the time thinking about it. It doesn't just happen on its own. We generally relate to our instincts much more naturally than we do to our souls, to our intuition. Until you start thinking. Use your brains. Use your brains and see what you identify with. and realize that you really feel so much better when you worked hard. Yeah.
Yesterday you gave a really visual example of a person, being that shopper that gets to go into the department store and take anything they want.
Yeah.
So you're saying if we're given that opportunity on Rosh Hashanah to take anything we want, we got to go for the stuff that is much more valuable, not that low-level stuff.
You got it. You got it. That's what it's about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was Hashem's original plan to give Torah to all of mankind, and then he was forced to give it to one nation?
It's a funny way of putting it. It's a funny way of putting it, because Hashem knew what was going to happen. The Maharal writes that it was inevitable. It was just inevitable. Once you create a human being with two sides, it was inevitable that people were going to fail. But not everybody. Okay.